Not one rich person in this world, not one. And I will guarantee this, not one of them has built what they've built alone. They all have a team, regardless. So why are you trying to do it yourself? It's that unwillingness to take that little bit of risk, right? We're afraid of the term risk. Everyone that freaks out about risk. You live every day with a lot of risks, right? It's when they're afraid to take that step. And then guess what? They miss that step. And so then they miss the next step. And then at some point down the line, they're going to just YOLO it and just say, hey, I'm going to try it. And it's going to be the wrong thing because it was at the wrong time. And then they lose it, end up losing more money, or they get frozen, right? And they hide the money under the cushions. And now you're just losing out at everything. Stoy Hall here with Black Mammoth. I'm the CEO. I'm also the founder and podcast host of No BS Wealth. We're here to take women and minorities, business owners' financial game to that next level, being a modern family office. So if that's you, we're here for you.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you heard it correct. Man, this young man, and he's been doing this a long time, but I'm just call him young because, man, to our elders, we are still like just getting started, even if we are starting to get gray hairs, at least for me. So I'm letting mine shine. Took 43 years to get here, but Black Mammoth is something that I want you guys to check out. And you guys know who, I know most of your listeners, go over to the YouTube too, give it some love because he has his own podcast as well. But Black Mammoth is kind of similar to what we have in our private club, Millionaire X, where, you know, if you want to take control of your finances and you want to do it with the community, with the team, you guys can do it. My bruh, how are you doing? I love the name, man. Let's start with the name. Where did mom or dad come up with that name?
Yeah. So, obviously, you said I've been in the industry for a while. It's been what, 14 years for me. I started in the insurance game, and then I joined another firm out of Houston. And everything in our industry is always like someone's name is part of the firm, right? Like Hall Investment Services or something crap like that. And I wanted to create a firm that was not only had its own brand that was bold and beautiful, but respected who exactly what we want to represent. And so I knew I wanted black in the name. It was just going to happen regardless. One, because, you know, we are black, but also black is beauty. And then in money, you want to be in the black. So it all made sense. And I had some staff at that time. They reached out to one of their brothers who's an artist down in Nashville. And he did some research and created our graphic, our logo, but also was like, you know what mammoths do? They lead all to prosperity and they protect them on their journey to water, to food. And so it just made a lot of sense for us because that's what we do. We guide and protect you on your journey through life. And obviously being black is something that we all love and near dear to our hearts. So that's where Black Mammoth came from.
Okay, and I meant even Stoy because I was thinking like Stokely Carmichael and you know just even your personal name. Give us the game on that. There's a lot to be said in all names, whatnot.
Yeah, I've tried to do a bunch of research. So I grew up with a single white mother. My dad wasn't really involved at all. So I had to like do some digging. And really, my first name Stoy is at a lineage actually from a German term, Stoyvich or something like that. STOI something, and it actually means strength. So that's where the lineage of actual the word Stoy comes from. I'm from Omaha. I'm just a nice middle-aged kid. Grew up there, played a lot of football, a lot of sports, and that's where I'm at. But that's where the name comes from. As much research as I've done.
Okay. And you say German background. You see the flags behind me. Collecting residencies and citizenships is what we do. You know, you can get you probably might be able to get your citizenship in Germany if you don't already have it.
Maybe I'm gonna have to dig into that one.
Yes, and that's what we like to talk about because for me, I do this to show people how people started, sustained, and succeeded, and I like the international part of it because, as you know, the majority of Americans, and especially when we talk about Black Americans, are not fully funding their 401k. How important is that when you're teaching and preaching? Because in America, you know, we could say the West, we're so blessed that if you fully fund your 401k, even starting at 40, by the time you retire, you're going to be a millionaire as long as you didn't blow the bag on everything else, you know, Gucci, Coochie, whatever else, right? So, how important is that part of your process?
Yeah, I would say it's like step three, right? Everyone gets it wrong. They think that they need to save and invest first. You can't play that game first. You need to figure out who you are and what brings you joy. Because if you figure out what you're about, then those decisions are easier, right? Like you had said, Coochie or Gucci, right? I might be stealing that one from my own podcast. But ultimately, you need to figure out who you are because that leads you to your decisions, good or bad, right? And then once you figure that out, then you can start figuring out, hey, how do I save? How do I become more wealthy? And then in the 401k space, I always tell everybody, regardless of where you're at, and if you don't know who you are and you're trying to figure that out, at least get the match, right? If they're matching you 4%, take care of that. Then go back, figure out where you're at, figure out your cash flow, and then yeah, go ahead and let's max those things out if we can. But if you don't know who you are, you don't understand what brings you joy, then all your decisions are going to be for naught. And then you're going to end up exactly where you're at, and the cycle will continue.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At cprfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Callan Cash Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at cprfirm.com.
Qualified to talk about your finances. So I want you guys to look in the links and go see his beautiful website. Put time in it. Very easy to follow. Even shows his family, which that shows that he has stability and he's not just running around trying to be some type of passport bro and shine on you guys online. But talk about the importance of them following somebody who has studied this, has been tested in it, and you've passed the test. Thank God. Congratulations.
Took me 3 times, but I did it, right? My colleagues, my black colleagues specifically, we talk about this all the time. Is TikTok, Instagram, all of those like quick little get rich things, it kills our industry and specifically hurts our society and culture more than others because we feel as if we can do that, right? Hey, Joe Blow on TikTok said, if I do this, I can be a millionaire next week. It's not real. None of that is. That is all some pyramid scheme to get your money, right? Buy this course, do this for 6 months, and you'll be all that money. You need to rely on people who are heavily regulated, have the education, and are held to the highest standard possible. And in our industry right now, the CFP is our doctorate. That is our highest level right now that you can have those and say, you know what, they're doing things as above board as possible because we are board certified and we are heavily regulated by the SEC and all of those moving parts. So you got to pick one of them. And there is a lot of us out there, but if you're following someone that doesn't have any of that experience or any of that background, then you really got to ask yourself, are they doing this for me in my best interest, or are they doing it for their own pockets?
What do you think the number one mistake for the people who are getting it right? What is still like the number one thing you see where you're like, ah, man, maybe it's they kept all their money in the bank, or maybe they have a Fidelity, but they kept it in cash so it doesn't compound. And I say that because I've made all the mistakes, and it's I'll just be straight up. You're like, oh, okay, I got a CD account in college. I'm doing something, and hey, for this amount of money, you can do some more. But what is that number one thing you keep seeing repeatedly, and you're like, ay, es mío. I wish I could, get your attention, 5, 10 years ago.
Not willing enough to take that first step, whether that it's a risk jump, like whether it's like, hey, I'm going to ask for that raise. I'm going to business partner with them. I'm going to invest in this thing. It's that unwillingness to take that little bit of risk, right? We're afraid of the term risk. Everyone that freaks out about risk. You live every day with a lot of risks, right? It's when they're afraid to take that step. And then guess what? They miss that step. And so then they miss the next step. And then at some point down the line, they're going to just YOLO it and just say, hey, I'm going to try it. And it's going to be the wrong thing because it was at the wrong time. And then they lose it, end up losing more money, or they get frozen, right? And they hide the money under the cushions. And now you're just losing out at everything.
Wow, that analysis paralysis. Now, do you think that comes if you like come and you get your first bag, or and you're scared of losing it, or does it come when you've lost maybe a good amount of money and you don't want to make another mistake? Like, what do you see as far as trends?
I I think it starts back from when we were young, right? I ask everyone the same question of like, what's your first money memory? And it roots back to something in your childhood, right? So I actually think it starts from that perspective. Our parents living either survival mode or scarcity mode. One, we get taught that in schools. That's how we get taught, right? We want to control everything. But on the flip side of what you just said, I see majority of people who have money, made a bad mistake, and lost tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000. They're the ones that actually get back on the horse quicker than the other ones, right? Because they know, hey, yep, that was a bad step, but I can do it again, right? I can keep going. There are other opportunities out there, and they don't just like sit by after one loss, that they're just going to get back on the horse.
Okay, okay. So you guys should get back on the horse. It's key, it's crucial. Now, what about you were talking about TikTok, and I know you said it's hurting your industry, but you are the people who people need to be looking at. I watch Pocket Watching with JT, and I
Sure.
just, get a kick out of every time, and I know, him because I've been able to book him on client shows. But I just love his stuff. I wish it shows like that, shows like this, shows like yours that were, being boosted up in the algorithm. But he has to do a lot of sensationalism too, just to get people started. And he's a regular, he says, I'm a regular guy. Do you ever like just go to bed just screaming into the pillow, or maybe into the boxing mitts at the gym? Like, why are people so stupid? Why are they keep listening to these people who don't even have real wealth? I know some of them, they don't have real wealth. I know them. I know the entertainers. I know the artists. They don't have real wealth. They blow it as soon as they get it. Like, how do you cope with that? Because I could only imagine, what's going through your mind being so trained in this field.
I mean, first of all, JT's amazing. We go back and forth on each other's shows all the time. So, love me some JT. But it's one of the toughest things that I do every day is when we're going through our content. Like, I obviously, being a content creator, having our podcast on top of everything we do, we got to be up on time. So we're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're doing all those things and looking at them. And it's like, how does a quality post that actually educates someone get nothing, and some junk over here all of a sudden gets, blown up? And I think it's twofold. One, I think there is a bunch of people out there who truly do not want to be educated, because that means you have to reflect back on yourself and blame yourself for your downfalls. People don't want to do that. So they're going to see, ooh, this person's successful, regardless if it's true or not. I want to be like them. Even though, on the backside, a lot of them are broke as hell. They're not happy. They're depressed, and it's in there. So it's like, oh crap. But then I also think the algorithm feeds into that. I think it feeds into people's emotions and how we are as humans, of like, we love seeing all that stuff. So keep putting it in front of me. Whereas the true educational things get pushed on the back burner. And I truly don't have the answer. If I did, I would give it to all my colleagues, and we would be out there and you'd hear about every one of us every day. But we just out here grinding, trying to push as much as we can.
And I appreciate people like yourself who you could be in a Tyler Perry movie, right? You could star in it, whatnot. You could go model. Sometimes I say, hey, look, my clothes are a little different. Everything I'm wearing is from Africa, whatnot. We're custom made, this, that. I got stuff in English and bad Spanglish, and I say maybe it's me, but I've done this 20 years, and I'm just free to be me. I'm just, it's cool. But when I see someone like you who's gone the traditional route, gone to a great university like Drake University, done everything, and still have those frustrations, I say, hey, maybe either I'm in a good weirdo club and it's all good, or these people, just like you said, want to be they don't want to, they want to be lied to, is what we always say. They want to be lied to that you can get rich, like you and I, JT, John Hope Bryant, right, who has real wealth, could all go on planes, trains, and automobiles and say, hey, we did it overnight, and people would say, hey, we'll give you our right arm for you to get there. But if we tell you it's going to take a decade or two or three to have that real wealth where you don't have to work, people are going to be like, man, that's hard work, man. I'm not trying to work. Like Charleston White said, I didn't come here to work. Y'all some working mugs. I want to sue and snitch. But that's not reality for the most of you. Now, with Black Mammoth, is there a buy-in? Can you give them some tiers if there are, and who is it for? Because I know, you don't have to say it. People will give you their money and then say, "Hey, can I get my money back in 6 months or a year?" When they feel like, they haven't whatever made it, or what's the ROI, and not forgetting all the education and the time that you put into them. So please share with us, what that buy-in to get with Black Mammoth.
Yeah, for sure. We've developed our services for multitude of people because we're all different, right? We're all not going to be the one track mind. So we've got our DIY services, right? So what those are is you can hire us for an hour just to chop it up, go through things. We call that our power hour. You can literally ask me anything under the sun, and it's you, full hour, whatever you need. Then we've got our project based, which are like more along the lines of our full financial plan, or if you have a specific need that needs solved, right? I have this investment, I need you to vet it out. I've got this debt crap, I need this figured out. I got these student loans I need figured out. If you have specific projects, we have those two areas for you as well, and those run at 1500. If you want the full financial holistic plan, and I'm talking about if you're a business owner, from a creation of your operations all the way to your bank account, EIN, how you set up bill pay, books, etc. If you're on the personal side, the exact same thing. How much I should be putting in my 401k for how long? How much should my savings be? My kids' student loans? What account should I have? My employee benefits? Legitimately everything in one document so you can implement it. That'll run you 6,000 if you're individual and 12,000 if you're a business. Then after that, we have our ongoing services, right? Where we're doing all the implementation. We're still building out the entire thing, but we're meeting every month. And those individual ones start at $500 a month. And then if you are in our family office or doing more of our virtual CFO type stuff, that goes from 500 to 1500, 4500, or 9000, depending on the scope of services that you need for you and your business.
Now, sometimes you might scare somebody. Somebody might be driving one of my truck drivers and say, "Wait, family office. I've heard about that. I got to have 100 million just to talk about this." This is a modern day, and it's your take on the family office. Talk about that, and if they don't have the 100 million, maybe they got the 6,000 or the 1,500, but do they also have to have the 100 million behind them, or the 50 million? No.
No, let's be real. We are built for minorities and women. Do we all have that money? No, we don't. It's only the middle-aged, rich, white, old dudes, right? No, we wanted to take that traditional family office mindset and modernize it, which means, hey, you don't have to have the 100 million. The reason those traditionally do is because they hire every one of their staff internally. So think about an attorney, how much he cost or she cost every year, or how much a CFO costs. You're talking about $1 million of salaries that you have to deal with. That's why you need to have so much in a traditional model. The modernized one, you actually have us as a team that I go out and I can hire and fire whoever specifically for what you need in your plan. Not just having an attorney on retainer in case something happens. When something happens or right before it, we can go ahead and just go straight to the source, get it done, transact, be done, move on, right? And so that's what modernizing it allows us to do. We can spread out the cost across multiple people and multiple different opportunities as opposed to you paying for everything. And that's really the modernization of it. As opposed to, hey, I'm a family, I've got to hire all the marketing, the travel agents, you name it internally. Well, guess what? None of us have that type of dough. Most of us don't even have that complexity in our life. What we need is someone who is our right hand, who can not only project potential things that happen, but take care of the items that are happening right now as we speak. And that's what's the important difference of that family office. And we don't have minimums. I don't care if you have negative 100,000, zero, a million, it doesn't matter. We don't care about AUM in regards to minimums and how we operate.
Now, some people say, okay, I know I don't have it figured out. I don't learn. I don't want to learn, or it's not coming through. If you handle it all for me, hey, what type of guarantees can you give me, and how quick? And I want it to be very clear because you are CFP. Uh, I'm telling you guys, there are no guarantees in any of this market unless somebody's the Wizard of Oz in this thing. And I don't mean Elon Musk or Trump. I mean the real wizard. But answer that question for the person who's like, yeah, okay, I'll give you the money because I got it. But when, how soon can I get my dividends? Folks love to talk about those dividends the first month they invest. What does that look like? What type of average returns are you seeing with your people?
Yeah. One, like you said, there's no guarantees. The only guarantee I'll ever tell you is you're going to die at some point, right? I used to say taxes, but I think there's ways to get around taxes. You will die at some point. That's the only guarantee I can tell you. The ROI is different, right? A lot of us are all stuck to what's in the media, and we're all derived around, I need a return of something on my investment for my investments. And I always ask people this, or at least give them some analogy. If you're not organized, you have no idea what's going on with your money in or out, right? You have no concept of how you're spending, none of that. That means you'll have $0 that you're putting into investments. So even if I could guarantee you $1 billion return or 100% return every other day, zero times that number is still zero. And so to overcome that inability to put money in, you need to be organized. You need to know your relationship with your money, and you need to have the ability to invest. And so that's where we usually thrive our best at. Yes, we can do the investment stuff. Anyone can really do those things. But being able to get money into the investment means everything else in your life is in order and is consistently in order every month for you to get ahead. And so when people are always asked, like, what's your return on, what's your average, blah, 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 I'm like, you know what? It's going to be more of an emotional feel than anything. There is not a specific dollar to exactly, hey, you work with us, it's going to be this. I can tell you that we're a tax deduction, so at least I could give you a little tax deduction on that, but I cannot say if you invest or you spend $500 a month with us for planning that you're going to feel $550 a month back in return. No, that's not how that works. And you can ask any of my clients that. It's about the emotional support, the ability to be there when things go awry, and having them organized for the things that come down the pipe. There is no dollar amount or return on that. And I will end that whole concept with one thing. Not one rich person in this world, not one, and I will guarantee this, not one of them has built what they've built alone. They all have a team, regardless. So why are you trying to do it yourself?
Man, the story of my career. I mean, can you, Mona? I don't know if you can replay that and do one of those things, but everybody needs a team. Like, again, and I'm a consultant and a PR guy and do business management. And people say, why do people hire you? Because at some point you get too busy to answer every email, every phone call, bookings, collect the money from here and there, and you need a team. And I need a team, man, to make the dream come true. I'm so happy you said that because some people think they can go and shout out to TK Kirtland. But some people think they can go the TK Kirtland route and never have a manager. But the reason why TK doesn't have a manager is because TK doesn't trust himself. And that's because of his past actions. And I've been able to tell him that, to his face and over the phone. And that's fine. But he's probably lost millions of dollars by not having a team. What do you think it is, especially with black people? And I'm not making the camera do that. It just motions on itself. There's some shows that they push a button and it does that automatically. But yeah. But what do you think it is, especially with I said black folk, but some of my Hispanic brothers too have an issue of trusting somebody else to teach them about their money. They'd almost rather sometimes put it in a jar or a can than say, "Hey, amigo, hombre, ven aquí. Let me tell you this. I got issues. I don't know what to do with this." And you do. What is that about that community? And maybe it's everybody, but I deal with a lot of people, but I just see, especially black and brown, like suffer with that, like letting someone else take hold of what they could do with their money.
Yeah. It's black and brown. It's also just poor, the poor class, the lower class, like in general. The research I've done, the people I've worked with, like it's just all of us. More so in the black and brown community, but still, we all have this philosophy. It's because we are living in survival and scarcity so much in everyday things that we believe that we know best and we have complete control, which is hilarious when we talk about it for money, because guess what? I know your legal problems. I know what's going on with your baby mama. I know all of those things that are out there publicly, but your money you are so close to the chest with that you think you know best. And guess what? You don't. It's just not possible. The everyday person does not have the ability to retain and understand how the money game works because it takes over a full-time job to understand it and decades of practice, right? It is a game,
Practice?
truly a game.
Practice?
Practice. You talking about practice?
Practice? Yeah. Practice. Practice. Okay, keep going. Keep going. I just had to throw that Allen Iverson.
So
Shout out
in
to
order
Allen
for
Iverson.
you to try to do this yourself, it's just not possible. So we don't trust one ourselves because we don't trust ourselves with our money. Two, we don't trust anyone else in our lives or around us because a couple of things. One, around us, typically there's no one who's successful. So there's that. The other thing is we don't see enough of us out there being successful. Besides, you've got your artists, you've got your athletes and stuff like that, but that's about it. There's not very many businessmen that are black and brown that are in the communities and doing all these things at a number that needs to be done, right? There are, don't get me wrong, there are, but there's just not enough. So you've got children and you've got other ones in our communities. Who are they looking up to? They can't say that could be me. They have no way, no experience, no education in it. So they're just going to keep it to their chest.
Hello, everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
Answer this question because I can't always answer it for myself except to say I've had some unique experience of exposure as a kid. But the same way we do our finances is the same way we do our health. And my wife who says I'm a hypochondriac, and she's a medical doctor, so she can say that. But I keep, we keep these rings on to let us know how we sleep and how this and that. I have every type of doctor you can think of, and I'm healthy, but I want to have what the king and the queen of England have, right? I want to have knowledge that Damon John had when he found out he had issues, early, so he could beat whatever he beat. What is it about the finance and the health? Because if you don't have health, who cares what your finances are? And it's like, it's the same type of I can handle it myself. Is that just in the lower class mentality of, I have to get it out the mud and that survival mode that you were talking about? Like, I can't trust anybody.
It is, and it comes back down to discipline and ability to get off the couch and do work. That population and that mindset don't actually want to put in the work. They don't want to practice and train. They just want to be in the game and be the kings of the game. That's impossible. One, and it's impossible with your health, and it's damn sure impossible with your wealth as well. I use this analogy all the time. I played football at Drake University. Collegiate football is a whole different matter. We trained for 9 months, 10 months out of the year straight, 5 in the morning, afternoon trainings, all of those things for the opportunity to play 11 football games. The opportunity to play doesn't even mean we get to actually play them, because if we're not good enough or we're hurt, you're not seeing the field. So if we do that for so long for only 11 opportunities, why do you think in your life you can go around with zero preparation, zero fitness, zero practice, And then when the game time comes up that you're gonna produce. It's not real. That's not how it works. In our wealth and our health, they're tied very much together. You need to stay mentally, physically fit so that way you physically can be fit. When those opportunities come up, you can take advantage of and you will produce, as opposed to when those opportunities come up and you fumble the bag. And that's just how life works.
So you mean if they put $5,000 worth of dirty diamonds in their teeth, it just doesn't come through osmosis? Or if they put lashes or buy the Maserati, or one of my favorite cars, the Aston Martin, don't I always wanted the Aston Martin until I figured, oh, 18,000 a year in maintenance is a lot that can go, that money can go somewhere else, especially when you have a wife and you have kids, and you think about, wait. I can do backdoor Roths and defined benefit plans. Oh, I don't need all that, right? So, what about this? You get the money, but your family, and it might be your spouse, they're not on it. Dave Ramsey talks about this a lot of times about trying to get your spouse on board. We're dealing now with a younger generation that, again, going back to TikTok. Sorry, TikTok, to beat up on you. I could have did MySpace or Black Planet. I'm old school, but we're trying to get our family, our cousins, and our aunts, who some of them can't even retire past their 60s. We're trying to get them on board, but they might have a cold TikTok, right? Even the aunties they got a cold TikTok, and we're trying to tell them, hey, put more away for that rainy day. You might need it when you can't work and can't do that TikTok dance, whatever it is. And I'm seeing this and that, right? You guys have never done a TikTok dance on here before, so go watch it. But what can what does that look like for us? Because trying to get your spouse on board, I mean, that could be an argument for the person who, their spouse isn't financially even thinking for the future.
You gotta sit down. I just actually today, my new YouTube series, Let's Get Real, we're talking about men versus women and who does it right when it comes to money. Okay, so in what we've done and what we've learned, the research I've done is fundamentally as humans, men have this thing in us that we just say, we're gonna figure it out. I don't care what it is, situation, I'm just gonna figure it out, right? Whereas women don't. They want to know the plan. They want to know the next step. What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? But what happens if that happened, right? They want to do it that way. So you've got two mindsets in a relationship that are drastically fundamentally different from a human element level, right? And so, one, you've got to come together and recognize that. You got to recognize that majority of men are going to say, I don't care where we're at, I'll figure it out and get it done. And you got to have flip side of women saying, I need to have a plan. The good thing is there's benefits in both. So the ultimate thing is coming down, sit down together and say, hey, where do we want to be? Where do we want to go? And then figure out how to get there. But if you're not connected on that emotional level of what brings you joy, then none of that stuff's going to matter, right? Because you're going to go spend money on your Aston Martin and your wife wants to go to Fiji on a month vacation. Those are separately different things, and you can't do them both because you can't afford them both. Then you're going to fight about it, and you guys will end up on your couch for a month. Like, you have to understand that you have fundamental ideas of how money works, and we all come from a different financial money trauma from when we were kids, both good and bad. And if you can figure those out, then you can have that conversation of what matters to you when it comes to money. My wife and I, drastically different households coming up. We have thought about how to deal with money for the longest, and I do it for a living, right? But we finally came together of understanding of how she sees and interacts with money and how I do. And now it's allowed us to come together and create a plan for going forward. Now I'm a planner, so I'm a little different on the men's side. Like, I know I'll figure it out, but I also like to plan. But that's the way to do it. And if you don't do it that way, then you're missing out on one, becoming closer to your spouse, and two, actually being able to get ahead in the money game.
You talk about Fiji, they don't want to just go to Fiji. They want to stay on the water on the 4,000 a night, spot. Because there are some places in Fiji that are very cheap. You guys, travel is what we do when we take content creators or whomever, churches, it don't matter. But there are some places that aren't as expensive, but people want to go get their TikTok on and they want to, hey, this is how we're living. And that's just not everybody's reality. You got to live in your reality. Can you talk about the difference of taking a vacation? I know you and your wife and have a whole nother business and aloha, you guys like the Hawaii experience, but how different does it feel? Dave Ramsey again talks about this when you go on vacation for 2 weeks or a month or whenever, and it's already paid for and you're not having to put payments on the Amex card month by month. What's that feeling like knowing your kids can get the ice cream they want and you're like, yeah, it's okay, you can even get 2 scoops, knowing that maybe the dentist might cost you depending on what they do, right? But in their age. But what's that feeling like when you go on vacation and you can actually afford it?
It's it's like it's part of your lifestyle. It's not a decision anymore. It's who you are. That's what's the difference, right? Yeah, I mean, you still are spending money. We know it's taken care of, but like you're still spending money. We're always going to have that thing of like, damn, that ice cream cone was $22 and you just dropped it on the cement. Like you're going to have that feeling still, which is cool, but it's going to be like I'm living a lifestyle. When you go on vacation and things are taken care of, things are set in stone, or it doesn't even have to be vacation. It could be kids, sports, you name it. It becomes part of your life. You are then able to enjoy that time and understand that it is part of your life. And then you get experiences from that, and those are your memories. And I am a firm believer that your memories go with you. None of the decisions you make financially go with you. And so if you can create more of those memories, that's what's awesome. But I also am a proponent, a little different than what Dave Ramsey said. I'm cool with putting it on a credit card as long as there's a plan for paying it off and that vacation or whatever it is truly aligns with who you are and brings you joy. Your happiness means more than the dollar.
And I get you. Most people we know though can't pay that credit card off with when it's done, and that's the difference. And Dave has had some people who are like me who have spreadsheets, and we have our credit cards in a whole binder, whatnot, and everything. We're watching the experts and saying, hey, ask Sebi, and going to Nerd Wallet and checking all that out. But again, like you said before, that can be a job to some people. For me, it's fun. Some people go golf. I don't really. I'm because I'm not that good at it, except miniature golf, where I have got a hole in one last year. You guys might have heard about it in Loxahatchee, Florida. But I'm just not. I don't want to do that. I want to do other things and see. Oh, how can I get a free first class ticket or tickets for my whole family? Because that's how I want to travel every time I get in a plane, wherever I go, if it's open and available. So I don't have many wants besides that and being able to go to the grocery store and buy whatever I want without even looking at the price. That was the answered prayer in college when we had those jobs that, you might not have liked as much. But it's awesome. Now, your other business, tell the people the difference between Black Mammoth and the capital business, because I don't want them to get it mixed up thinking, oh, I'm going to get everything here that he does over here. Two different services.
Yeah, two different services, and one's more call it capital is derived around investments and vetting them out specifically that are not your normal cup of tea. Like we had a hedge fund, although we shut it down last year, where we're doing forex trading, we're doing cryptocurrency, we're doing those things. So call it capital is for specifically vetting out investments and focusing on investments, whereas Black Mammoth is all the planning and everything like that. So typically, what we'll do with Call It Capital is if you are someone who cares about investments, we'll put you on our newsletter and reach out to you when an investment opportunity arises. And that's how we operate from that perspective, because there's opportunities all the time that come across our desk, all the daily. Daily, there are at least 5 to 10 deals that we somewhat vet in order to then say, hey, you might be interested in this, right? And that's what we do with Call It.
And can you tell them if they do one of those, and those might be higher risk, especially some of the stuff that you mentioned, what are the percentages look like, that you take? Because I love pocket watches, even, the name, because people will pay you, but say, man, he bought that new watch off my money. That's how he got his Richard Millie off my money. And that's the problem. And those people you probably don't want as clients because oh man, don't pocket watch what I'm doing over here. He could be a blue blood for all you know, or his wife could be a blue blood for all you know. But what do those percentages kind of typically look like?
Yeah, so if it's in our own investment, which we don't have any offerings right now, but if it typically is, then we are going to take some type of cut from that. So I'll give an example of our last hedge fund. Our last hedge fund had a 2% management fee that went almost strictly to legal and marketing. And then we opportuned and was 50-50 in whatever the return was, but we took on all the expenses. So clients would get 50% return or profit on whatever the fund did. We would take the other 50%, but we would pay all expenses under that. So we'll disclose all of those things. If it's an investment that's on our newsletter that we've semi-vetted out because our friend sent it to us or whatever, then we don't take a cut. That's just part of their deal. You will interact with them. I'm sure they have their percentage as well, but commonly it's going to be a 2% management fee and a 20% performance fee. That's typical in the market. If on the third side, what we do is we'll vet an investment for you, then we'll jump on a free call. We'll go through what the deal is and everything, and then we'll tell you, hey, it's going to be a flat fee for us to do all our due diligence for you and give you an advice of like, hey, yep, we vetted this project out. Here are your risks. This is what we believe that the actual return would be. Here are what could happen, could not happen, and our advice is that you should not take the deal, right? If you do that, that's going to be a flat fee, and those range anywhere between if it's a small deal, 1,000. If it's a really big deal, 50,000. It just depends on the size of the deal.
And can you explain to the audience and say, well, what type of fees? Because I mean, it's a form of consulting. You're giving your best, but people don't understand the conferences, the lunches, the hands you have to shake to hear about these things. But name some of those expenses and how that works. Because I find myself people say, nah, it can't be that for everyone. Let me go ask around. Please go ask around. What are some of those expenses? Because there's some things I've left out intentionally. So you have something to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Obviously, you're going to have any of your legal, right? Everything we do needs to be vetted out from a legal perspective. Now, granted, we have a lot of attorneys that we work with. So instead of you going directly to an attorney getting charged $800 an hour, I can go ahead and have a lunch, go have a beer, call them real quick, and we're not getting charged that. Okay. So one, that is one expense. Two, compliance. We do everything above board. We're not going to shortcut paperwork in our investment PPMs and all of those things because we want to get the deal done. On average, you're going to have $20,000 to $50,000 in just startup costs for compliance purposes only and exclusively in those regards. Okay. One, and then we have to market. What does marketing mean? I don't mean just social media and all that stuff because most of those aren't on there. That means reaching out, flying out, having fundraising events to other investors and other investor pools is another expense that we've got to deal with. Then you got our time, right? So our time in vetting the deal, speaking with if it's real estate, we got to get with the builders, we got to get with the contractors, the city, the state, all of those things come into play from an expense perspective. And then on top of that, we also have to make money. So we have to build and profit for ourselves. If we weren't in business, if we wouldn't be in business if we were just doing it for free. And so those are usually typically what you're going to have from an expense standpoint that are built in that you're not going to see disclosed on most records because of that. Plus, you got technology, which is a whole different variable on top of all of those.
And that, you guys, that last part, especially technology, it's not getting any cheaper. When I look at my AI bills, I'm like, yes, but we need all that software. And one piece of software over here, depending on what we do, that could be 18,000 a year. Go ask Cision, go ask Meltwater what these things cost, and that's why you guys come here, because you don't want to pay that. You want someone else to pay that and then get the benefit. What community give back are you doing or would you like to do in the future?
Yeah, so I'm always speaking. Like I just spoke at a Black sorority on Monday. I'm always speaking locally and on podcast, and I go to conferences. So a lot of my speaking giving back is as much as I can do. There's two other things that we do. The third one I'll talk about more in detail because it's what we're building. The second one is we vet out nonprofits as well. And it's not up, I don't think, on the website yet. What is it, February? Not 100% up on the website yet, but we vet out nonprofits, whether it's we're on the board or people involved with it, because we want a resource for people to charitably give, but also we want recognition to those nonprofits. So those first two we do a lot of. The third one we are currently building out, and I'm super excited about it because I think it's going to disrupt our industry a lot. In my specific money game industry, when you think of it from a traditional sense, everyone's out there trying to get all your assets so they can invest them, right? They're rarely looking out for your best interest in terms of the rest of your plan. Insurance, estate planning, how you live day to day, buying and selling, lending, etc. Well, what I'm doing specifically through No BS Wealth is vetting out a bunch of people, badass partners that we can get together. And when I'm going to meet with you, if you're a prospective client, for example, then I'm talking to you, and all of a sudden you need something, and it pops up. I can go ahead and say, I'm going to go connect you to JT because he can get this done for you and he can do it tomorrow, right? We're going to have that type of relationship because I believe there is not one person on this planet, again, that should be doing it alone. So you need a team. Two, I also don't think you should be one finding all the hundreds of people that you may or may not need. You need to provide that from a team perspective. And so we are vetting out these professionals, having this ecosystem, ideally, that when we're all out there talking to prospective clients, we're not trying to sell them on our services at Black Mammoth. I'm trying to get to know them as much as I can in that hour so I can connect them to the right person for them, whatever that may be in their life. If it so happens to be our services, cool, but it might be your services. And so that's the third thing I'm working on and trying to build out as much as possible. But it's a slow going, but we got to speed it up because with the way our society is going right now politically, it's going to be more important that people can understand and trust a significant group of people.
I'm going to say something, and I don't have to be right at all. And, you know, it is to alarm people. And again, talking about the international piece and why we show people how to get residencies, because I have people in their 80s who are living off 2000 or less, you know, Social Security, you know, savings. And it's not because they're broke, and I've had them on the show. It's not because they're broke. It's just like, you know what? I didn't need what America had to offer. It's every day I'm spending money. And in my later years, I don't want to do that. I got great health care over here in Mexico. I got it over here. You know, some people go to Asia. Africa is booming right now. And I like to show people, yo, if we all came from Africa, we're all let's return. But, you know, do you think, because this is my opinion, I don't think the majority of like our generation will be able to retire comfortably. I think it's going to be a lot. I see, you know, when I see someone collecting, uh, you know, at the Costco and I'm seeing the old people work, they might want to be there, but they might have to be there. Walmart, same thing. Do you think, you know, in our age brackets and what you're seeing, even maybe older than us, majority of people are going to be able to retire comfortably, knowing that at ages right now, if you want the beer on tap, the wine on tap, it's $15,000 a month to start. You know, if you don't have a family to take care of you, you know, and it can go up even higher than that, people, a month. And you've never seen that money, so you probably won't see it in your older years if you're not working towards that now. But it doesn't mean you can't get there if you start. But do you think the majority of our people will be able to retire with what you see with the buzzword of inflation? Are we going to be okay?
I think we have to redefine retirement first. There is one, and studies show that this whole concept of like retirement at 65, but our generation now, I think they pushed it to 67 and they're already talking about pushing it to 70. Full retirement is never healthy for a person. They die within 8 years. So think about retirement and what that actually means first. But I believe our generation and the generation above us, which is not the boomers, what is it, X's in between, is um, they're going to have some type of job work that they do, consulting, side business, something that they will always do until the day they die. That's what I foresee. And that's what's happening right now. Whether it's people getting into the podcast games or selling things online, e-commerce, you name it, that is what's going to occur because there's not going to be these pensions. 401ks aren't being put into enough anymore. Like there's not going to be this nest egg that people are going to have unless they get their stuff in order. But I see it happening where we are just going to have our side gigs or whatever throughout the until the day that we die, as opposed to getting to 65, 67 and going, yeah, I'm done. Like, give me my money. I'm going to the beach. I will take my monthly checks. We're good. I don't see that being realistic anymore, even for boomers anymore. But realistically, for us and our generation, I don't see that being something that ever will be achieved on a grand scale, right? There will be always a small population that can, but I don't think so anymore.
You guys heard it from the CFP. Great storytellers always want you having more. And I really want you guys to look in the links in the description. And then, of course, you're subscribed already here. If not, you can do that. But go over and check out everything he has on Black Mammoth, including the podcast, and get as much game. Put more time into this than you put into watching Zeus or whatever. I've cut the cord over a decade, but I hear Zeus is popping and has everything that you guys like. But go over there, let the people know. Any last words, where to find you? And I so much appreciate this conversation. And you can let them know if you got the book, if you're starting it, if it's almost done, or if you already have it, out there on Amazon. Give us the game.
Yeah. Not book's not done yet. We're working towards that. You can find me legitimately everywhere except for Reddit. You can find Black Mammoth, OBS, Wealth, Stoy Hall, across all your socials. We have our own websites as well. I got kicked off Reddit, so I won't be on there, but we're cool with that. I always ask one thing of anytime I'm a guest, even on my own podcast, of all listeners. I want you to honestly reach out, comment, DM, email, whatever it is. Not because the algorithm, although that does help us as content creators, we truly want you to engage because we're here for you. We are a resource and we have a pool of resources for you. And the only way you can take that next step forward is if you actually communicate, whatever that may be for you. So I want you to know that you're not alone in your situation, whatever that situation may be. There are steps out of it, but the only way you can do that is if you communicate. So just reach out. We're here for you.
That is a blessing. Mr. Hall for mayor or governor, which one you want out there?
Boy, if I got in the political game, they would not like me. I promise you that.
That's what we definitely need. So you guys, I'm glad you guys have got the game. I know you're going to go in the description and, go follow, go get this Black Mammoth game. I need you right now to again, like he said, comment. I appreciate you giving that shout out. And most importantly though, guys, share this game with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration and joy by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.